Hey Maya, how are you?
Hey, what's good?
Okay, so my today task asks 50 questions with Miles on the topic sorry tracing the roots of apology. So you ready?
I'm locked in. Let's see where this goes. Hit me with the first one.
What does the word sorry mean?
At its core, it's an admission that you messed up or that you feel bad about something. It's basically a social lubricant to smooth things over when things get bumpy. You think it's just about guilt or more about keeping the peace?
Why do people say sorry?
Most people do it to fix a vibe that's gone south. It's a way of saying, I see you're upset and I want things to be cool, but totally. Sometimes a sorry isn't even about a mistake, it's just a way of acknowledging that the other person is hurting. It's like saying, I'm in this with you. You've got the next one.
What is an apology?
An apology is the actual move you make to try and make things right. It's more than just saying the word, it's about taking ownership of what happened and trying to bridge the gap you created. Does that make sense?
Why is apology important?
Because without it, resentment just builds up. It's like leaving a wound open instead of cleaning it. If you don't address the mess, it usually just gets worse over time. Do you think some things are actually too big to be fixed with an apology?
How can an apology help resolve conflicts?
It basically stops the blame game. Once one person steps up and owns their part, it takes the wind out of the sails of the argument. It shifts the energy from who's wrong to how do we fix this?
What makes an apology sincere?
It's all in the delivery and the follow through. A sincere apology doesn't have a but at the end of it. You say, I'm sorry, but you did this too. You're not apologizing. You're just arguing in a different font. It's about owning the mistake without making excuses. You think most people actually know how to do that? Or do they just say the words to end the fight?
Why do some people find it difficult to say sorry?
Usually because their ego's standing in the way. For some, admitting they're wrong feels like they're losing some kind of power or status. It's a bit of a defensive reflex. If they own the mistake, they feel exposed. What's your take? Do you think it's more about pride or just fear?
What is the history of apologies?
Let me look into that. It's wild how something as simple as a sorry can be a whole mood in different cultures. The word actually started as the Greek apologia, which was more of a formal defense, like Socrates defending himself in court, rather than admitting you were wrong. It eventually shifted into expressing regret. Even sorry comes from an old English word meaning pain or soreness. I can tell you about how different cultures handled the social side of this if you're into that.
Why is forgiveness often connected to apologize?
Because the apology is the key that opens the door. An apology is basically a request for the other person to stop being mad, and forgiveness is them actually agreeing to let it go. Without the apology, the other person is usually just waiting for some sign that you actually get why they're upset. Do you feel like forgiveness can happen even if there isn't an apology?
What happens when people refuse to apologize?
Then you just got a wall between you. Things just stay frozen. The relationship either becomes a cold war, or you're both just ignoring the elephant in the room, or it eventually just snaps because the tension gets too high. It's basically a choice to prioritize their pride over the connection.
How does saying sorry show respect?
It's a way of saying, I value you more than my need to be right. By owning the mistake, you're basically acknowledging the other person's feelings and their right to be upset. They're, it shows you actually care about the impact you had on them, not just the fact that you did something wrong. Do you think that makes it a more powerful tool for building trust?
Can a simple apology change someone's moods or not?
For sure. It can completely flip the script. When someone is spiraling or feeling dismissed, a genuine apology could be like a release valve for all that tension. It just lets them feel heard, which usually kills their anger pretty quickly. But if it feels fake, it can actually make things worse. You know? You think people can tell when a sorry is just a performance?
Why is honesty important in an apology?
Because if you're lying, you're just adding another mistake to the first one. An apology built on a lie is basically a ticking time bomb. Once the truth comes out, you haven't just messed up the original situation, you've destroyed the trust. It turns a simple error into a character issue.
How do apologies build trust?
They show that you're reliable even when you're not. By owning your mistakes, you're proving that you're not going to hide things or gaslight them when things go wrong. It's like a guarantee that you're honest enough to hold yourself accountable, which makes the other person feel safe enough to trust you again.
What is the difference between a sincere and an insincere apology?
A sincere one is about the other person's pain, while an insincere one is about the speaker's discomfort. If you're sincere, you're focused on how you hurt them. If you're insincere, you're just trying to get the awkwardness to go away as fast as possible. One builds a bridge, the other just puts a band aid on a bullet wound. You ever had someone apologize to you just to shut you up?
Should a children learn to apologize from a young age?
Absolutely. It's basically like teaching them the basics of emotional intelligence. If they learn how to own their mistakes early on, they don't grow up thinking that being right is more important than the people they care about. It makes it a lot easier for them to navigate friendships and avoid those huge ego driven blowups later in life.
Okay, so my next question, can apologizing make a person stronger or weaker?
It actually makes you stronger. It takes way more guts to admit you're wrong
Thought.
than it does to just double down on a mistake. It's an act of strength, not weakness. Doubling down just shows you're scared of the fallout. Owning it means you're secure enough to handle being wrong. You think people mistake that for being a pushover?
How can parents teach the value of apologizing?
The best way is to just do it themselves. Um, when uh, when parents own their own mistakes and apologize to their kids, it shows that nobody is above the truth. It turns it into a normal part of life instead of a chore or a punishment. Plus, it teaches kids that apologies aren't about losing; they're about fixing things. Do you think most parents actually do that, or do they usually stick to the "because I said so" vibe?
Yeah, yeah.
Glad you're feeling the vibe. What's next on your list?
Yes, my next. What role do apologies play in families?
They're basically the glue that keeps the family from falling apart. In families where emotions run hot and you're stuck with each other, apologies prevent small arguments from turning into lifelong grudges. It turns a blowout into a learning moment instead of a reason to stop talking for 3 years. Do you think families find it harder to apologize to each other because they're too close?
What are the benefits of forgiveness?
It's mostly about getting a weight off your chest. Forgiving someone isn't even really about them, it's about you not having to carry that anger around everywhere. It's like closing a tab in your brain that's been draining your battery for weeks. Once you let it go, you just feel lighter and less stressed. You think it's easier to forgive someone you're close to or someone who's basically a stranger?
How do different cultures express apologies?
Let me look into that. It's usually a lot more than just words, depending on where you are. In places like Japan, it's way more about the group harmony than who specifically messed up. And they use things like bowing to show how sorry they are. And you've got spots like the UK or Canada where people say sorry almost as a reflex for empathy, even if they didn't do anything wrong. It's basically a different language for the same feeling. You think that's better being more indirect, or do you prefer the direct? I messed up approach.
Can actions be more powerful than words when apologizing?
100%. Words are a great start, but actions are where the real proof is. If someone says they're sorry for always being late but keeps showing up an hour after everyone else, the word sorry just becomes noise. Changing the behavior is the only thing that actually proves the apology was real. You think it's possible to apologize with just actions, no words at all?
Why should leaders know how to apologize?
Because it kills the untouchable vibe. When a leader owns a mistake, it actually makes them look more confident and trustworthy, not weaker. It shows the team that it's okay to be human and that the goal is getting it right, not just being the boss. It basically builds a culture where people feel safe to be honest instead of just hiding their errors. Do you think a leader who never apologizes is actually more respected or just more feared?
How do apologize contribute to peace?
It basically acts as a ceasefire. It stops the escalation, pulls the plug on the anger before it turns into a full blown war. When you apologize, you're signaling that the relationship is more important than the argument, which is usually the only way to actually bring the temperature down. You think peace is usually a choice or something that just happens over time?
What can we learn from our mistakes?
They're basically the best teachers you'll ever have. It's they show you exactly where your blind spots are and what you need to tweak to not mess up the same way twice. Plus, it's a chance to see if you've actually got the humility to fix it. Do you feel like some mistakes are actually just necessary to get where you're going?
Why is humility important in apologizing?
Because humility is what lets you actually hear the other person. Without it, you're just checking a box to end the conversation, not actually feeling the weight of how you affected them. It's the difference between saying, I'm sorry you feel that way, and I'm sorry I did that. One is an ego trip, the other is like actual growth. You think it's possible to be too humble, or does it always help in these situations?
How do social media apologize differ from personal apologies?
Social media apologies are usually just a PR move. They're written by a team of lawyers and consultants to protect a brand, while a personal apology is about protecting a relationship. One is about managing an image, the other is about managing a feeling. You think those notes app apologies actually work, or do they just feel like a script?
Why should we avoid making excuses when apologizing?
Because excuses just erase the apology. Second, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm, if you've stopped apologizing and started justifying, it's like saying, I messed up, but here's why it's actually not my fault, which just makes the other person feel like you're not actually owning anything. Completely kills the sincerity. You think people do that because they're scared of being the bad guy?
How can an apology strengthen a community?
It turns the focus from the individual to the whole group. When people apologize publicly or genuinely within a community, it shows that everyone is held to the same standard and that the connection is more important than any one person's pride. Sets a precedent that mistakes are okay as long as you own them and fix them, which makes the whole environment feel safer and more supportive. You think a community that doesn't apologize is just a ticking time bomb?
What lesson can students learn from apologizing?
They learn that it's not the end of the world when they mess up. It teaches them how to handle conflict without it turning into a huge drama. And more importantly, it shows them that owning a mistake is a way to gain respect rather than lose it. It's a huge part of growing up, learning to navigate a social circle without burning every bridge. You think most students are too worried about their reputation to actually apologize?
How does apologizing encourage personal growth?
It forces you to look in the mirror. It makes you acknowledge the parts of yourself that aren't great and actually do something about them. Instead of just blaming the world, you're taking a real look at your behavior and deciding how to change it for the next time. It's basically a fast track to becoming a better version of yourself. Do you think growth only happens after a mistake, or can you grow without messing up first?
Okay, so thank you for answering all questions. So this is my last question. Why is saying sorry considered a sign of courage rather than weakness?
Because it means you're not hiding. Take zero effort to stay stubborn or blame someone else. That's the easy way out. Stepping up and saying, I messed up, means you're strong enough to handle the discomfort and the risk of not being forgiven. That's where the actual courage is.
Okay, thank you, Maya, for answering all questions.
Anytime. I'm glad we could knock those out.
Okay,
Just a heads up. You
thank you.
called me Maya,
Nice day.
but it's Miles.
Oh, Miles.
No worries at all, though. Hope you have a good one. Everything all right?